We are live.
So I think we are on live. Let us give a few moments to share the stream. I think all of you will share today because today we will take one guest and he will talk about Harvard University, and that's I think that is the one dream that we have because Harvard University, that that kind of dream to us, a dream for us. Sadman, do you want to study in Harvard or do you have any dream to study in Harvard?
Exactly. I have a plan. I have an aim to study overseas in any of the Ivy Leagues, but my target university is Harvard. So, personally speaking, I'm really excited as well for the session, despite being
I
the
am
host.
so much excited because there are a lot of people who have a dream to study in foreign university. But today we'll talk about Harvard University, and yeah, I can't wait for that. So,
Exactly.
dear viewers, all
Let's
of
wait.
you, please share this
Let's,
stream and wait for a few moments.
yeah. I'm getting goosebumps actually.
I'm so much excited. I think today the comment section will fly, and there will be a lot of questions for Siam Bhai. And
Exactly.
so I think we can start. 2 minutes has
Let's
left.
let's wait for a few moments. The viewers still 5.
Okay.
Till then, all the viewers, those of you who are present, please share the stream in your group chats, on your feed, on your pages, or wherever you want, so that maximum people can get the benefit of this interview.
And most important thing, dear viewers, do you have any friends who have an aim to study abroad? Please share to that because we don't really get such kind of opportunity like this. Please share the stream with them so that they can get the help.
Exactly. It's not every day you get a student of Harvard to give a live interview.
Live interview from USA.
Wow. Let's wait for one last minute. After that, we will start.
Today I have a lot of questions to ask,
I think I
and
have
these are
more
my.
than yours.
I think we can start now. So.
Yeah, let's start now. Okay. We
So,
already got
assalamu alaikum and
viewers.
hello
And
everyone.
fortunately, this is my mother.
Oh, that's great. So, assalamu alaikum and hello everyone to the third episode of YT Talks. And today I am Shahid Salehin, President of YT, is with you, and with me, Sadman Azad, Vice President of YT, is with all of you. So, I will not talk about who is coming now. So, all of you know that we have a really special guest, and he is Seeam Shahid Noor Bhai, and he is from Harvard University. He was an ex-cadet of Mirzapur Cadet College. Our Vice President Sadman also is there. And I'll say, Sadman, please welcome our guest because you are the cadet of that college. And
Exactly. It's a huge privilege for me.
I will
Ladies
say,
and
dear
gentlemen,
viewers, among you, those of you are from Mirzapur Cadet College, please give a big shout because today we have a guest and he was an ex-cadet of Mirzapur Cadet College, and now from
exactly.
Mirzapur Cadet College he studied in IBA, and from there he went to Harvard.
I just
So,
can't wait for him.
so we can
Okay,
start.
ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath because our guest is coming in 3, 2, 1, action.
Hello.
So,
Thank you so much for the kind words. It's actually my privilege to be here and not the other way around, I guess. Thank you so much for taking this initiative. You guys have given me a very generous introduction. I am not that of a big deal. Please, I'm just a student studying at Harvard. So, yeah.
That's really enough for you.
one
I
thing
think
we
that's
didn't
more than
say.
enough.
Well, I think we didn't say that Bhaya started Bangladeshi Perspective, and he's the CEO and founder of that. And here he takes a lot of interviews of those people who are successful from all over the world. So, dear viewers, please watch those interviews. I think that will be better for you and helpful for you.
One thing I would like to note here is that yes, I did start the Bangladeshi perspective with the goal in mind that there are a lot of amazing people out there in Bangladesh and around the world from whom Bangladeshi students have a lot to learn. And that is why I started it. I don't really think I would call myself a CEO because I'm just a regular show host and I interview people. CEO is a position that requires a lot of executive decisions, none of which we are taking at this level. So I wouldn't use that word per se, but I would be lucky to
We're
call
getting shout
myself
outs
a
for you.
host for the Bangladeshi perspective. Oh, a lot of Mirzapur cadets in the comment section. Lovely seeing you all. Mirzapur Cadet College is an institution I hold dearly to my heart. So lovely seeing you in the comment sections.
So, before going to the formal session about question answer session about Harvard University or foreign universities, we'll ask you about your journey. That how did you start the journey from Mijapur CAT College to IBA, then Harvard University? Please share in a short moment your journey.
I have shared this journey quite a few times. As of now, it can be found on an interview I did with Radio Told by Abdullah Mehdi Bhai. I think he's an ex-cadet of Kumila Cadet College, and the video is on YouTube, and it has like over 10,000 views or something. And I also did a similar sort of interview, 10 Minute School, and that video has like a few 100,000 views on YouTube. So those are resources you can look at if you want to know more. However, I will say something for part of the show. However, if I miss something, you can look at those resources to understand more. At the beginning, I would like to say that I only can give my opinion and perspectives of what I saw in my journey to Harvard. So I can't really give advice. So this is how you get in. I can only say this is how I got in my opinion. So please keep that in mind. In terms of all like resources I have or interviews I did with different people of different universities and how they got there. I have started this playlist on YouTube. If you search up Seeam Shahid Noor and go to my channel, you can find my interviews on different with different students who are going to top universities. So that is something to note as well. Keeping all that in mind, let's talk about my journey to Harvard from Mirzapur Cadet College. So when I was in grade 12, I didn't really know what the Ivy Leagues were or that you can go to Harvard as an undergrad from Bangladesh. I think I had a few misconception about admissions to top universities in the US. A few of them being that you cannot go to these top institutions from National Olympiad or from national curriculum, or you cannot go to these institutions without an Olympiad background, or you cannot go to these institutions if you don't have money, all three of which turned out to be false. So I started thinking about uh, this application process with two of my friends who are also cadets of Mirzapur Cadet College, and we were there once in Nozrul House's porch room. I'm pretty sure Sadman is familiar with it. I think it was
Yeah.
porch or upper box, as they would call it. So we were there kind of, and then we started talking about like the possibility of applying to these institutions, and then we walked down and started walking down the senior porch talking about it. And the conclusion we came to is that there's so much potential among the cadets that we see around us, or just in students in Bangladesh in general. And it's just a shame that a lot of them who want to go abroad to do these top institutions to get the best possible education are not going to these institutions because they don't have the knowledge on how to do so. And that really bothered us. So we thought that, hey, if we could kind of be like the torch bearers and apply to these institutions, even if we don't get in, at least we will know how to apply, so that in the future we can come and give back to Bangladeshi students and host sessions so that at least they can apply. It has to start somewhere, right? And that is how it all started. I remember participating in a few international science competitions and doing a lot of extracurricular activities. Being an HSC candidate, a few weeks before our HSC exam, our cadet college was extremely generous to provide us with those opportunities despite being an HSC candidate. And after that, once I graduated, my parents wanted me to be doctors, so they wanted me to apply to the national medical exams. I personally always wanted to get into Dhaka University's IBA. So that was kind of like my personal dream. And at the same time, I promised myself to go through the application process so that I can help future students. So that is also something I had to do as well. So I tried doing all three of them simultaneously. It was a rough time. I had to like study 12, 13 hours every day. And it wasn't pleasant. It was hard. It was a lot of effort. But when you really have this mission you set out for yourself, your drive kind of comes naturally. And it worked out. I got into IBA, I got into medical college, and I got into Harvard. So it did worked out, I guess.
Wow.
But that was my personal journey.
Superb.
Thank you.
Superb. So medical and IBA both. So you
Yes.
prepared for both.
Yes. It was a dark time. Yes.
You got a chance both in Mymensingh Medical as well as Dhaka University IBA. At the same time, you also got accepted for Harvard
And Princeton. Yeah.
and Princeton. Extremely sorry, but
They don't have to apologize. I was just messing with you. But yeah.
I mean, where do you keep all those knowledge stored?
It isn't a lot of knowledge necessarily. I have so much to learn and I don't really know a lot. I think it all boils down to discipline and working hard, and in the end a lot of luck. You have to be really lucky and fortunate, and I think I had support from my friends. I had luck on my side, and it kind of worked out. Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily attribute all that to knowledge. I would attribute all that to practice, discipline, and luck.
So Bhaiya, you prepared for both, right? So how we can prepare for
Comment section is
both
just storming.
at the same time?
Just storming.
How can I prepare
We
for
have an
both
allegation
at the
against
same
Seeam
time?
Bhai.
I mean, like, his comment is the exact reason, right? He wrote Seeam Bhai and he didn't even spell my name correctly. So that's the thing, right? I think a lot of people are reaching out to people without showing any effort on their side, without a specific reason as to why they're reaching out and how I can help them personally. At the same time, without showing that they, on their part, did anything, any research at all on the questions they're going to be asking. I don't particularly accept friend requests from people I don't know or haven't heard about, partially because most of them end up being questions about things that I already write and make videos about, and all of them are publicly accessible resources for free. And that's why if you had the time to send me a friend request, I'm assuming you should also have the time to look at the resources I put out, spending hundreds of hours and getting almost nothing in return. When it comes to monetary benefits, the only return I get is personal satisfaction of helping people. So at least take the time to look at those resources before asking me the exact questions I I answered in those resources. So that is kind of my reply to him. I hope I didn't offend him or any sort, but yeah, he's not doing his best when it comes to reaching out to people. But pushing that aside, how did I prepare for Harvard medical and IB at the same time? It's a
Yeah.
difficult question to answer because it is hard. To be very honest, I think if I studied 13 to 14 hours per day, almost 10 or 11 went to medical, if that makes sense, and the rest was going to IBA or the SAT preparation and application preparation. But I can say how you get started. So the way you get started, in my opinion, is to sit down when you graduate from your institution, sit down and make a list of your final end goals. So my final end goal was, okay, I have to apply to XYZ institutions when it comes to US applications. I have to get into Dhaka University's IBA, and I have to get into a good medical college, not too far away from Dhaka, at least. So I wrote those goals down, right? And then after writing them down, under each category, you write what are the kind of requirements you have in order to get into those institutions. So let's do exercise here, right? So if you have medical, you might know that medical institutions have your SSC and HSC results, and they amount to like 100 points, at least back in my time, that was the case. And then you have 100 points for a mixture of biology, chemistry, physics, general knowledge, and English, if I remember correctly, right? So among all these topics, I'm pretty sure coaching centers, the one I went to was Unmesh. That was one of the few coaching centers that provided coaching for students coming from an English version or English medium background. So I knew that if I got admitted to Unmesh, they will break down the syllabus in a span of 3 to 4 months for me, and then I can just tackle the syllabus in the way they broke it down. Now that I look back, I think giving the medical admission exams in English is a wrong decision. At least that's what I felt it. The final question paper that I had faced had a lot of mistakes in the English questionnaire, and that's why I lost a 4 to 5 points in that, which I should not have if I appeared the exam in Bengali. So that is one note about that. So you have the medical preparation covered by Unmesh. Let's move on to the IBA preparation. Yes, Tanjim, I did study with my music on, if you are wondering. But if when it comes to IBA, there were a lot of parts. One is the math section, one is the English vocabulary section, another is English reasoning in general, another is analytical. And I realized that, okay, if I get admitted into mentors, I will be able to use their breakdown of how to approach the exams in the correct way to apply to IBA. So that would be enough as well. And now there are a lot of institutions like mentors, like Patronus Education, which is doing very well and have been founded by a few of my talented friends at IBA. So you have that, right? And finally comes to US application. What do you need? You need your transcripts from 9 to 12. You need your SSC and HSC results. You don't really need them, but if you have them, you have to show them. And then you have to send the English proficiency exam. It can be IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, or some waiver saying that, okay, you're good at English. You don't need to take those exams. You have to take the SAT. You have to take the SAT subject tests. Like I said, you don't need any of them. Those are not compulsory requirements, at least as of now. But when I was applying, I kind of thought that, okay, if I have time, I should apply to these institutions and use these exams. And then you have a list of extracurricular activities. You have essays and recommendation letters. So I wrote all of that down, right, in 3 columns separately back in June. And I realized it was so overwhelming. Like there is no way I can tackle all of it at once. And I think that is one mistake that students do. They try to tackle all of it at once. So I thought, okay, let's break it down, right? how would tackling it at small parts look like? So I realized that, okay, I will give my SAT and medical admissions in October. I will appear for my IB exam in November. I will appear for my subject tests in December, right? So from now to October, I will kind of prepare for all of it simultaneously. However, I'll focus a bit less on IBA and subject tests. I will focus more on SAT and medical. After I'm done with medical and SAT in October, I have 1 month to really go in for the IBA. So that's the time when I will dive in, finish all the model tests and whatnot. After I finish the IBA exam, I will start and do what it takes to finish my subject tests in that 1 month, right? So I really broke it down and I kind of treated them as individual components, and I didn't approach the other with as seriousness because that wasn't urgent at the moment. So I divided into how urgent each category is. And since I was admitted into mentors with a discount that you can get from a mentor's teacher, if you know a mentor's teacher, they can give you like, I don't know, 33% discount or something. And then you have Unmesh. So I tried to do those coaching regularly. And one day I would study medical and the next day I would study for the SAT and try to write a bit of my essay and try to do the homework I got at mentors. So every day that was the routine. I went to coaching in Unmesh. I tried to make a schedule so that I did the Unmesh coaching and the mentors coaching on the same day. And then when I came back, I studied for medical the one day. The next day I would study for the homework in mentors, and I would try to do some SAT practice from Khan Academy. And that routine kind of continued for a few months. And after I got in, like after I was done with my SAT and medical, I had some time to really start brushing up my essays and submitting the things that you need for college applications, right? So I think that really key advice is to, number one, write down your goals and the requirements you think in each. Number two, break them down into separate modules that you can tackle one by one rather than tackling them all at once. And number three, stay true your routine, stay true to your routine and keep on tackling them one by one and hope that it works out. One thing to note that a lot of people will be like, oh, that is a crazy routine. I did keep my Fridays. I did keep my Fridays free, sort of to, you know, watch YouTube, meet up with my friends, take a break, reflect on how the week went and how I can improve and whatnot. And that was very crucial. A lot of people kind of burn out in the process because it's a grueling 6 months, at least for students in Bangladesh. When you'll be graduating from cadet college and you're going into those institutions who have such high competition, it's hard. So you have to really work hard for 6 months. So it's important to not burn out and take some time out of the week to focus on reflection, to focus on taking rest and meeting up with friends and whatnot. But yeah, that was kind of my routine, if you were wondering.
That was amazing, bhai. So one thing I will ask you that what was the most effective part of your application for Harvard?
What was the most effective part for
Effective.
my application at Harvard? I think there isn't a singular component that is most effective. Harvard application, in my opinion, or I think in general opinion, is very holistic. So it will be a combination of your academic results, your extracurriculars, your standardized exam recommendation letters, essays, and achievements in other frontiers, right? So I don't think there was one component that like really worked out for me. I I look back that throughout grade 9 to 12, I was very sincere when it comes to academics, at least in Mirzapur Cadet College. The reason it was very important for me is because academics, as you know, is a very crucial component in the house championship. And the batch which does well in academics kind of brings a lot of points for their house and is like honored in the house a lot, that you are the batch who brought the championship. So when I was in Mirzapur Cadet College, Nozrul House was uh, never, when I entered Cadet College, Nozrul House wasn't the champion. It was like Sohrawardian 3 times in a row or something when we entered in grade 7. It was always alternating between SH and FH. And Nozrul House, the greenhouse, for those wondering, did not become, weren't the champions for like 10 years or something, right? And it's partially because we weren't good at academics. I think most houses had this tradition where they really glorified athletes and like athletics and sports competitions, and they kind of put academics in the backbencher. However, academics is what actually brought the championship to the house, right? So when we got in grade 7, I think we were one or two of the only champion houses, the batches in the house. So we realized that there will come a time when we will be in grade 9 or 10 where the tide will shift and we will have the junior academic champion batches will become the senior academic champion batches, and then that will hold more points, and thus NH might win a championship after 13 years, right? So when we were in grade 7, the grade 10 back at them, it was the batches of like Tokir Bhai, who was the college prefect back then. House leader was Abdul Rajak Bhai, like Shaikh Bhai, Shivendra Bhai, and like the whole batch, 45th intake. So when they would be in grade 12, their batch will be academic champions. We will be in grade 9, we'll be academic champions. And that kind of will lead us to a championship. So in our batch, at least, or 48 batch in general, we really prioritize and honored academically top students. And I think that tradition kind of inspired us that, hey, if you do well in academics as a batch and as an individual, you would gain prestige and like respect from your classmates. You will bring honor for the house. And finally, just finally, Nozrul House might win a championship for after like 13 years or so, right? So that kind of really motivated our batch to do well in academics. And I think like we really tried hard in academics like throughout. And there were times when among the top 10 students in our batch, 8 or 7 of them would be from Nozrul House and whatnot. And then later on, it became that among the top 20, like 17 or 18 were from Nozrul House. And I think that really pushed me to do well in academics. So my academics were like, I always was kind of like a topper in top 3, or like became first a couple of times as well when I was in Mirzapur Cadet College. If you're from Cadet College, you know it, the competition is hard. So that was my academics. In standardized exams, I did pretty good. I got decent scores, almost all of them being in the 99 percentile when it comes to SAT and subject tests. My extracurricular activities were like good as well. I had a few international awards and a few national awards in public speaking, in engineering video contests, in particle physics, and debating. So like the extracurricular activities were good as well. And my background was very interesting. I don't think they get applications from Bangladesh, from national curriculum students who went to cadet colleges, who did not have access to electronics for 6 years, whose leadership practices were very different to your typical candidate. I think leadership is something which is fostered in cadet colleges in a way that is very unique, and you really learn to take care of 100 to 300 cadets under your wings, and that is a form of leadership that you don't kind of see elsewhere. So if you combine all of that, in my opinion, I think they got a very unique application, and that kind of worked out. Yeah.
So you had the academics and also the extracurricular activities combinedly.
Yes. Yes.
So is there any
Making a
part that
balance.
we should give the most priority in ourselves for making an application that will make us sense and that will make a good effect on the application?
I think the key advice is to play to your strengths. If you're really good at academics, be really good at it, and at the same time have a good standard of extracurricular activities. If you're really good at extracurricular activities, get some international accolades or national achievements, or do things that you're really passionate about, and also keep a solid side in academics and standardized exams and whatnot. You have to strike a balance. One side might be better than the other, but you have to strike a balance, because at the end of the day, at an institution like Harvard, you have like 40,000 applicants. Almost all of them have like really good uh, SAT score. Like at least 10,000 have SAT scores, which are top notch, top grades, really good extracurricular activities, and like 1,500, 1,600 get in. So if you really want to stand out, you have to be quite good at all of them and give strong importance to each, but at the same time, play to your strengths and have one side that kind of stands out as being better than the rest of it. It doesn't mean that you have to throw the others away. You have to be pretty good at others as well, at least as I see it. There have been instances where people with mediocre grades or not 99 percentile SAT scores got in, but do note that at that time they had insanely top-notch extracurricular activities or stories. Like recently I was interviewing for my YouTube channel a candidate who got into Harvard from Bangladesh. She was from Dinajpur. Her name is Ishika. Really inspiring person. She's like a little sister to me. And her SAT score and academic results weren't the best, right? It wasn't 99 percentile. But if you look into her story, she had amazing extracurricular activities, and she finished like the math portion of I think the further math syllabus of her A levels in 3 months, which people usually take 1 year or like 2 years to finish, right? That's an insane story. And sometimes people who don't have as top-notch performance in one sector kind of cover it up with insane stories or amazing achievements in the other. But I would say to not take that risk. I believe you can have insane achievements in one frontier and have pretty good achievements in the other, and it will work out for you. So that is the advice I would like to provide in my humble, limited knowledgeable opinion.
That means you're trying to say that we need to have a balance of everything, as well as to have something uh, that truly expresses us so that it stands out.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Seeam Bhai. Seeam Bhai, we have a question from our students. Yeah, this is it. Sorry, you got behind the
Very
camera.
common.
Okay, the
That's a
question for
big
you.
comment.
There is a
Okay,
rumor that, yeah,
I can repeat the question. You can hide the comments so that the audience can see it, yeah, please. So the question is, there's a rumor that without an Olympiad background, you have, let's say, lower chances of getting into a top institution. And what would you give suggestions to students who don't come from said Olympiad backgrounds and got into and can get into these institutions? That's a good question. First, let me clarify one thing. If you come from an Olympiad background, it tells and you have international accolades in that field. It tells a lot about you. It tells you are dedicated. It tells you have passionate about something. It tells you have strong academic and scholarly interests. It tells a lot about you, right? And it also tells among your high school class throughout the world, you're probably in the 1% when it comes to, let's say, math, physics, and whatnot. So that gives you the university all sorts of reasons to take you into their class. However, I know a lot of academic, like Olympiad medalists who didn't get in. I've also heard that a lot of people got into top institutions without Olympiad backgrounds. When I got into Harvard in 2017, I was a freshman, or first year as I would call it. And there was a senior from Bangladesh, which is fourth year. Her name is Zayan. And after I went up in years and now I'm a fourth year student, and there are 3 Bangladeshi students from Bangladesh high schools who are now at Harvard. So total in my time here, I have seen personally 5 students, including me, at Harvard from Bangladesh. And among those 5 students, 4 were not from Olympiad backgrounds. You have Zayan Apu, who wasn't from an Olympiad background. You have me. You have Suraya Jemima, who's not from an Olympiad background. Avishika, who's not from an Olympiad background. And you have Irtiza, who is from an Olympiad background. Three females, 2 males. So that's also for students or female students who are discarded, that most applicants they see are usually males. I would like to say no, that's not true. There is a good amount of female representation at Harvard, at MIT. So don't give up. But pushing that aside, there are 4 students who got into these institutions in like a span of few years, not from Olympiad backgrounds. So that shows that it is possible, right? So you know how I talked about how being an Olympiad tells a lot about you, that you are dedicated and you can practice something for 5 or 6 years. You're passionate about your interests. You give back to the community. A lot of those Olympiad students were teachers for future Olympiad batches. You have genuine academic scholarly interest. These Olympiads are hard, and you have to be really passionate about them to do well on an international scale. So separate those traits out and apply those to any extracurricular activity that demonstrates similar traits, right? How can you do that? Let's say you're a debater. Debate for a few years, teach debating to students. Be very active, organize debating events. Do well, be passionate. Represent your debating team in the WSDC international and national landscapes. All of these show the same traits that being an Olympiad kind of show. Passion, dedication, getting an award in those arenas, initiative, teaching, giving back to the community, a lot of those important traits. And you can kind of do that almost in any field. Let's say computer science. You can open a club that teaches coding in your school. You can build apps and websites and for organizations with good goals. You can create a business which provides a certain software as service to consumers or business or government, right? So you have a lot of opportunities to demonstrate the same traits in other extracurricular activities without coming from Olympiad backgrounds. I think being an Olympiad increases your chances. Being a successful Olympiad increases your chance of getting into top universities. However, not being one does not decrease your chances. It kind of sends your chances to that of an average candidate. And you can bring it up by demonstrating the same traits Olympiads demonstrate to other extracurricular activities. That was a long reply. I hope the video is still on this platform so that students can later watch it.
Yeah, sure. Seeam bhai, another question that I would like to ask is that uh, it might happen that I'm not from an Olympiad background or someone is not from an Olympiad background. Take yourself as an example. But my question is, uh, when you were in the sophomore year of Mirzapur Cadet College, you uh, became the national champion in IPSC and you went to England for the international public speaking competition. So that basically also shows that how much you're passionate and how much you're dedicated in public speaking as well. It might not be an Olympiad, but at the end of the day, it's still an international accolade. So do you think that this international accolade helped you the most in the application system?
That's a good question. I don't think it helped me the most because my application had other international accolades as well, and a lot of other things that did not necessarily have awards associated with them, but said a lot about me nevertheless. Like I was a college culture prefect in Mirjapur Cadet College. I did take a lot of initiatives being there, and I was someone, in my opinion at least, who tried to help juniors and help them grow. I even when I was in grade 11 and we were chosen to go to the uh, ICCLMM, I forgot which college it was, but I was in grade 11 and our college team was led by Al Raji Bhai, who was the college culture prefect back then. As a grade 11, I still used to lead the debating and speech team despite not being a prefect myself. So I think like all of those traits that are not really associated with awards, but were told a lot about me nevertheless helped. So to answer the question again, it wasn't the most important, but it was important.
Exactly. Thank you so much, CM Bhai, and I would like to take another question from the comment section. The question is, CM sir, apart from the studies, what are the qualifications needed to apply for foreign universities, particularly European universities?
That's a good question. In general, when you're applying to universities abroad, most universities, if not all, require a common set of requirements, right? So you have standardized exams, you have academic results, you have extracurricular activities, recommendation letters, essays or statement of purpose, and English proficiency exam if you're studying in English, or any other language proficiency exam if you're studying in any other language. So these are the common kind of set of requirements, and you require some of them in some universities. You don't require some of them in some universities. That is one set of requirements. Another set of requirement is kind of like bank statements and financial profile required to get scholarships or financial aid. And that is something I will like to tackle on my YouTube channel very soon. I will have Labib Tajwar Rahman, who's also from national curriculum background, who's currently studying at Stanford. And him and I will do a session on kind of everything you need to know about financial aid and scholarships when it comes to US applications. So for US, like go to my YouTube channel, shameless plug here, and the video will come out in a week or so. Like subscribe so that you get the answers to that. But when it comes to European universities, chances are they would require the exact same requirements that I have just mentioned. However, if I do want to go into the details of it, the right answer is I don't know, because I have not applied to any European university ever, and I am not the right person to answer this question. However, on my channel, I will be interviewing students from Oxford and a few other top European institutions. So that will hopefully be a good resource for students who are asking this question.
Thank you so much, CMY, for your answer. And another question that we would like to take. This is from Mustafa Samin Bhai. He asked, what SAT score do you think is required for getting into Harvard?
Okay, good question. First of all, Harvard does not have a particular score cutoff. It means when you provide a score, it is just one part of the application. And if it's very good, it's going to weigh positively. If it's bad, it's going to weigh negative. There isn't a certain cutoff that Harvard requires as a mandatory requirement. This year, Harvard also has declared that SAT or like standardized exams in general are optional for Harvard. So you don't require them at all. If you have previous scores, you can feel free to send them, I think, but you don't require them at all. However, answering all of that, I can say what I feel is a good range of scores that is kind of common across Harvard. It is not a requirement, but that is common. If you look up and Google it, Google has always been my number one resource in going through US applications. I did not go through any agency. And I did all of it through Google, and I'm assuming most students can. You can search up Harvard University average SAT score. And I think the average SAT score is 1520 out of 1600, which is a 99 percentile score, I think. If you get below 1500, it will weigh negatively on your application, but it doesn't mean you won't get in. If you get above 1520, or like somewhere around like 1580, 90, or 1600, like a perfect score, it will weigh positively in your application, but doesn't ensure that you'll get in. My score was 1540, which was above the average score now, but it was the average score back then. It's a 99 percentile score. And I think it weighed positively because I gave the SAT with only one attempt. I had no paid resources to help me. And I was also preparing for national medical exams and the IB exam at the same time. So putting all of that together, getting 1540 from Bangladesh, national curriculum, not an A-level or IB curriculum, did weigh positively in my application. But I hope that answered this question.
Thank you so much, CM Bhai. Excellent. We also have another question. This is saying, Bhaiya, what was the hardest part in Harvard expedition?
What does she mean? I don't get the question. What does she mean by expedition?
I think what she tried to meant was in your journey to getting your application accepted in Harvard. Which one was the toughest part?
The toughest
And
part
which part you had to give the most effort or time?
That's a good question. There were a few challenges. One of the most important part, I think, is two things. Number one, the belief that it's possible to get in. I think once you start believing, it does make a difference. And number two is planning it out. So that's sitting down in June, writing down my requirements and thinking about how I will approach this in the upcoming weeks. That was very important. Let's talk about the hard parts. There were a few hard parts that I think most students will face if they decide to go through this. Number one is staying disciplined. It's hard when you're studying 10 to 12 hours per day and you get bad results every now and then, like you're practicing exams in Khan Academy and you're not getting good scores, or you're giving a model test in Udbhash, you're not getting a good score. It's demoralizing because you're working so hard. I think the faith that if you keep on working hard for 6 months, it will work out is important. For a lot of people, it doesn't. For a lot of fortunate people like me, it does. It did work out. So that discipline is extremely hard. Um, when they show it in movies, right? They have kind of like this 2 minute scene where the main character starts giving push-ups and like Bhag Milkha Bhag, if you have seen it, and kind of like rich ups and like an amazing background music is going on, and they're working hard, and in 3 minutes they have this 6 month transformation. That looks so easy and in movies, but in real life, when you're doing it for like 6 months, it's brutal. At every moment you feel like giving up. And I think that is one hard part. Another hard part is juggling your priorities. When you're applying to these institutions, you know that chances of you getting in is very low. Harvard has like an acceptance rate of 5%, right? And you have like 40,000 students applying from all over the world and only like 1,500 get in. So that's like a very low acceptance rate. For international students, in my opinion, that is even lower. So that goes to like 2% or, and like if you're a student not coming from an extremely rich background, who had like a lot of resources, whose parents were millionaires or legacy candidates, your chance of getting in gets even lower, right? Like 1%. So the whole application process where you have the chance of you getting in is very low, is a very hard gamble, right? And it takes up important time. The time you could have used to apply to national universities like BUET, medical, IBA, and whatnot. So in your head, you have this question: should I apply to both? Should I prioritize the national admissions? Should I prioritize the US applications? And that struggle, that dilemma that you have, which one should I prioritize, is a dilemma that only you can answer and only you can prioritize. And in my case, I kind of prioritized everything equally, but a lot of the times it doesn't work out that way. You have to like prioritize one over the other. So that struggle is hard. And I think the final part is the lack of support sometimes. So when you're applying, a lot of people around you won't be supportive, in a sense that they will feel that you're wasting your time watching, like seeing dreams that aren't possible. They will say that, oh, like it's the same thing, right? Like when an aspiring cricketer leaves their studies to study at BKSP and wanting to become a cricketer, and when certain parts of his society or her society or their society will come up to them and be like, why do you want to be a cricketer? Study, this will lead you to nowhere. They'll probably be like, oh, look at Saqib Al Hasan, look at Mashrafi bin Murtaz and whatnot. And their communities, a certain part of their communities will be like, oh, not everyone becomes them. Stop seeing stupid dreams. Come back to the reality. Your dreams must match your reality and whatnot. So that is hard, because a lot of those times, the people not supporting you also come from a place of goodwill. They won't support you because they're afraid that you are prioritizing your life wrong. They won't support you because they have never seen anyone achieve those dreams. So they think also you cannot get them as well. And sometimes that lack of support can come from your closest loved ones. And that is so hard. That is so hard, because at one part, that they're coming from a good place of goodwill, but at the same time, you're in a very hard place right now. And even the smallest bit of support or encouragement can do wonders. So though that is also a hard part. At the same
Thank you very
time,
much for
like, good support can also mean a lot. To summarize for candidates, important part is to have faith and believe that it is possible. Number two, to make a master plan in June and write it all out, or like as early as you can. And the hardest parts were juggling your priorities, staying disciplined, and lack of support from some loved ones. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Siam bhai. We have a question right now. It's written in Bangla. যা দিনকাল আসছে ভাই, এখন কিছুতে চান্স না পেলে কি করব এটা জানি না। সবাই কোথায় চান্স পাওয়া যায় এগুলো নিয়ে ভালো মোটিভেশন দেয়, কিন্তু কোথাও চান্স না পেলে যে ডিপ্রেশনে ভোগা ছেলেকে কেউ কোনো সাজেশন দেয় না। অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইটস আ রিয়েলি common common scene that we see in our country as well as in the world, that when you don't get any chance in any good universities or in any good college, you feel depressed and you go into depression. What would you like to suggest for those students?
It's hard, right? It's hard to suggest because I come from this background where I have had access to certain privileges and resources that help me become what I've become. So it's hard to say that, oh, do this, do that, and you're gonna get in, because I don't know about the other people's person's background. I don't know what resources they have access to. It might be hundreds of thousands of times harder for them. So I think it's unfair to go out and be like, oh, do this and that, and you're gonna get in. At the same time, I think you really posed a good question there, which is in Bangladesh, there are a few things I've noticed is that if you don't get into a top institution, it's like the society treats you kind of like an outcast, if it makes sense. They treat you like you don't have inherent value. They treat you like you are shit. And I think it's the worst thing you could be doing. I think it's just so unfair. Mental health is a topic that is not discussed at all, almost to an extent stigmatized in Bangladesh. You have students who are in bad mental health state, and you come up to them and you, instead of listening and being supportive, a lot of people be like, oh, shut up, go for a walk, or smile a little. Oh, you're getting too much stress, relax. You give, instead of being empathetic and being supportive, a lot of them give very insensitive advice to people suffering from mental health. And that is also a problem, and that is a topic to discuss from another day. The answer that I could give to someone saying that, oh, no one addresses students who don't get into these top institutions and are in a bad mental state. I don't think that is true. I think every year when the board exam results go out, there are tons of status updates from well-meaning seniors who did not do well in those exams and are now doing well in life. There have been a lot of studies to show that your institution also, although it correlates with your success, but it's very minor, and you can almost make the statement that the institution you went to does not determine how successful you become.
Thank you so much, Siam bhai.
I think it was good for him.
I hope.
So, Bhaiya, I will go back to preparation.
I would like to add one thing. Recently, I interviewed Mashroof Bhai, who is an ex-cadet from Junaido Cadet College, who was the college prefect of Junaido Cadet College, who did not get a GPA 5 in his HSC exam, who did not get into a good public university. He just finished his master's from Harvard. And I think he will do wonderful things in life. I know countless people who did amazing things and who did not go to a top university. So all I can say is that I'm sorry that you are in a bad mental state. I hope it gets better for you. I hope you find love and support to go through these hard times. But do know that the university you go to doesn't determine your success. Your effort, hard work, and sort of your luck perseverance, all these do. So don't give up. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was inspiring.
Excellent.
So, Bhaiya, I want to go back to preparational process because you told about 6 months process. So, will it be good for us if we prepare ourselves from very first, from this college level or school level? Will it be good for us, or will it be a pressure for us because we have education and other things also?
With the Siam bhai, I would like to interrupt. With the question of our host, we would like to correlate another question. He said that, Bhaiya, would you give some advices to college-going students what to do beside the textbook academics for who have the target to read in foreign universities? It's correlated, so I showed it.
Okay. I think even when you are in school, I believe that it is always possible to juggle things. You can be a good student and have top grades and at the same time do extracurricular activities. The earlier you start doing extracurricular activities outside your classroom that help you grow as a person, the better for you. Because outside the classroom, in these opportunities, you can grow traits about yourself that develop you in a way that a classroom cannot. So it's important. In terms of answering the question, what do you suggest? I suggest to do things that you're genuinely interested in and try out new things. Chances are, if you don't have a genuine interest, if you keep on trying out new things, it will come to a point where you have grown as a person and you have found what you're interested in, or at least you have found what you're not interested in.
And we have to be dedicated to that which we like.
Yes, you have to put in effort. I think a lot of students look for instant gratification because in the age of Instagram and like Facebook, you kind of put up a post and you get 100 likes in like an hour or so, and then you're done, right? But I think that's not how most of extracurricular activities work out. How it works out in a lot of cases that you practice for 2 months, you apply to your first competition, and you fail miserably. You practice for 2 more months again. You apply again. You still fail. And sometimes after 1 year of working, you maybe have one small achievement in a national scale. Sometimes people get lucky and after 2 to 3 years, they have one major achievement in an international background or from a national background. And the truth is, I know awards are important. I know they keep you motivated, but that shouldn't be your primary goal. Your primary goal is to do something that you're interested in. Your primary goal is to grow as a person. Your primary goal is to learn skills and hopefully leave a net positive impact in your community. That should be your primary goal in the things you pursue, not the awards. So that is the advice, kind of like suggestion I would give, that keep on trying out new things with a goal in mind that I want to grow as a person. I want to develop things that are not developed in a Bangladeshi classroom. And hopefully it will give you benefits in the long run that you cannot imagine as of now.
Thank you very much, Ram.
Thank you so much, Siam bhai. We are taking just another question. This is from Farjana Shumi. She said, Bhaiya, is it true that full scholarship rights are mainly offered to students who want to study STEM?
That is not true. At least for the financial aid that I've seen at Harvard or like the top US universities, they don't offer full ride scholarships. They offer full financial aid. What it means is that they're gonna pay however much money you need if you get in, right? If you want to know more about this topic, Google terms like full need aware universities, need blind universities, and whatnot, you will get your answer. Like I said, I have seen, including me, 5 students at Harvard from Bangladesh. I think all of them are studying under full financial aid. 2 of them, Suraya and Zayanapu, they are like sisters to me, and they both started out with intentions of studying economics, which is not a STEM subject, and they got full financial aid. I know a lot of students here at Harvard studying social sciences, government, anthropology, who study at Harvard with full financial aid, and they're not from STEM, right? So I think her conception or the rumor that she has heard is not true. However, there are full ride scholarships that are dedicated towards STEM students, and that in those scholarships, of course, they're going to prefer STEM students, right? If there are universities which are more science and technology oriented, they will prefer candidates from a STEM background. But I know full ride scholarships such as Canada's University of Toronto's Lester Pearson Scholarship, University of British Columbia's International Leader of Tomorrow Award, which do not give advantage to STEM students. So to the person who asked the question, know that there are full rides and full financial aid at top universities that don't prefer STEM students.
Thank you so much, bhai. We just got another question that's just related to the topic. It's from Naved Fardin Khan. He said, Seeam bhai, if anyone gets 60 or 70% scholarship any of the top 20 ranked university, can he manage extra scholarship after joining?
Yes. That's it.
But I think that will be costly.
Here's the thing, right? Let's talk about the top 20 universities. Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Yale, UPenn, Columbia, a lot of the IVs, Stanford. If you apply to those institutions and get in, they offer financial aid that covers as much as you need, right? Let's look at Harvard. If your parents don't earn $60,000 in a year, which is somewhere around 50 lakh taka per year, they're going to provide 100% financial aid. So to be in a position that you got into a top university, but you did not get enough financial aid to an extent that you cannot afford it, is, I think, not possible. I know a lot of people who lie about their application. They say that they got into Harvard for undergrad or MIT for undergrad, and they couldn't go because they did not have full financial aid, or they got like 50% and their family does not have the capacity to pay for the rest. They're lying. Like, I'm 99% sure they're lying. Because if your family did earn, let's say you got into Harvard in undergrad and you got a 50% scholarship and you cannot go because you don't have the capacity to pay for the rest 50%, right? Let's assume your family, since you did not get 100%. We can say your family earns over 50 lakh taka per year. If you're in that situation, you probably can afford the rest 50% if you work part-time and whatnot, right? If you earn less than that, by Harvard's policy, they should have given you 100% financial aid. So when you're talking about top 20 universities, name one university, chances are among those top 20, 17 to 18 of them provide full financial aid, like easily 90 to 95%, because they know that you can afford the rest 5 or 10%. So I don't think you will come to a situation where you don't have, where you got in and you cannot study for undergrad in those top institutions. However, if you want to get external scholarships, you can. I don't know about many external scholarships from Bangladesh, but I have a Japanese friend, and she's studying under 100% scholarship from Japan, and she doesn't take a single dime from Harvard. So it is possible to get external scholarships, and it is possible if you get 90% financial aid, it is possible to pay the rest 10% by summer jobs and working part-time. It is easily possible. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Seeam bhai. That answered the question really nicely. Now we have a question regarding to public speaking. Seeam bhai, I hope I have the spelling right. How did your approach towards public speaking change as you went from college to national and then national to global?
That's a good question. I remember Karib. I think he was in my house. Yeah, he's in Oslo House, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
he was in Oslo House.
So I remember him well. He was doing quite well when we were graduating. But that's a good question. How do my perspectives change? Number one, I realized I wasn't a good as good of a speaker as I thought I was. I realized I have so much to learn and so much to improve, and that kind of inspired me to keep on practicing public speaking. I realized the higher you go up in terms of arena in public speaking, the more preparation you need. I realize you cannot wing it every time, and you have to prepare. Like, the best impromptu speeches often come from months of preparation, if that makes sense. It seems paradoxical, but it's true. I realize at the end of the day, public speaking is really dependent on the audience, so you have to know your audience really well. We are used to speaking to a certain type of audience, and we think what that audience likes is universal. That is often not true. Different audience like different things, and you have to research on your audience beforehand. I realize public speaking also has a goal in mind, which is usually to inform or influence. Whether it may be a public policy, it may be a like running for office, it might be a company pitch, it might be a business corporate sponsorship, it might be a research proposal for an academic endeavor. The goal really changes how your speech is formed, and that is important. I realize.
So first we have to change perspective and our goals. Then
So the most important thing, I think, sorry to cut you off right there, it wasn't my intention, but I think the most important thing to realize is that you need to do a solid amount of research on who your audience is going to be, what they like, and how people who wanted to achieve the same goals as you do, how they became successful in their speeches. And that research is very important, and that kind of shapes the speech. This wasn't the best way to communicate what I've learned, but this is my attempt in doing so. And I hope one day I can make a better video about this where I can talk about the question Karib asked. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Seeam bhai. The next question that I would like to ask is that We want to know the story behind Bangladeshi perspective.
Yeah.
It's a simple story. Before I came to Harvard, I always thought that Harvard is a place where there are extraordinarily God-gifted genius people, that used to do like complicated math back in grade 5 or something that university students cannot. That's kind of like the perception I've had. And I sort of thought that I became extremely lucky and it's my time to meet those people. When I came to Harvard, I realized that that is not the case. There are a few of those extraordinary people, I agree. But most of the students are extraordinary in a different sense. They're not God-gifted genius. They're people with strong discipline, work ethics, who really work hard and are passionate about what they do, and that's why they ended up at Harvard. So I realized that most of these people have a set of common traits, personality habits that made them who they are. So I started studying what they would call studying success. My idea is that if you want to be successful or if you want to be an amazing person, you have to study success or you have to look at what amazing people have done so that you can learn from them. That was my idea. So I started studying the work of Tim Ferriss, who wrote he's like 4 or 5 times New York Times bestseller. He wrote The 4-Hour Work Week, Tribe of Mentor, Tools of Titans. His podcast has millions of downloads. He takes classes at Princeton. His net worth is over millions of dollars. Very interesting person, right? And he really interviews successful people and amazing people and tries to find out what made them who they are. Listening to his interviews, I realized that a lot of the advice that he gives are applicable for a lot of us. However, a lot of the advice that he gives are not applicable for a lot of Bangladeshis, particularly Bangladeshi students. So I wanted to build something similar for Bangladeshi students. I realized that being at Harvard, I have the privilege or access to a lot of amazing people. So if I can interview them, learn things from them, and kind of spread that knowledge among Bangladeshi students, that would be helpful to a lot of students. So that is the goal of Bangladeshi perspective, basically to introduce Bangladeshi students to the knowledge of amazing people all over the world, especially Bangladeshis.
Thank you so much, Seeam bhai. That's a really, really, really great initiative. I hope
you.
the people who are watching your videos on the interviews, they get motivated and they get helped by a lot. We got
So
another
Seeam bhai,
question.
will you?
I'm extremely sorry. Will I get any benefit if I don't get financial aid?
I don't understand the question. In which university? Like, what do you mean by benefits? It's not a clear question. I don't want to answer this. I would request the person to ask a more specific question.
I want to add something about Bangladeshi perspective because do you want to work for Bangladeshi perspective in next years in future?
I mean, I am working, right? And I will try to make sure that the mission that we have, we can succeed in that manner. The team is increasing. We'll soon be taking over 10 interns. We already have like a team of 10 to 11 people. We have new hosts coming in. So basically, there's so much that is possible and so much potential that the initiative has that I will keep on working on this. Hopefully, we will be successful in our mission of providing Bangladeshi students with strong knowledge from amazing people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seeam bhai. We are almost at the last of our session. And in this part of the session, I would like to give you a rapid question session where I will give you 2 choices and you need to select one. It's just anonymously coming out of the box.
That's interesting.
Number 1, fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
Number two, Netflix or YouTube?
Ah, this is a strong tie. I think I spend more time on YouTube, but I also love Netflix.
Exactly. Science or business?
Business.
Rock music or soft music?
I think it's a tie. I listen to both.
Basically, when the mood wants.
Yeah.
That was the end of my rapid question.
Thank you.
That was interesting.
Yeah, it was hard in a sense that I can't really choose, science or business. Like I'm a student of science, but I love applying science to business applications, right? So what do I say, right? I watch both Netflix or YouTube. I love the fictions that I've read, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson. At the same time, I read, but like at this point of time, I read nonfictions more. I think both teach us a lot about the world. So it's hard to pick, but yeah.
Seeam bhai, we have a question regarding to public speaking. It's from Nafis Reza. He is also one of the cadets of your house. He says that Bhaiya, from cadet college perspective, everyone says if you want to go out, be the best English public speaker. I have heard that a lot, that Bangla public speaker there kono bell nai. Or I can say that there is no use of Bangla public speakers. If I become a good Bangla speaker rather than English, will it help me in the application process? Tricky question.
It's not a tricky question. I think it's his idea is wrong. A few days back, this video of Rebecca Shafi went viral. Right? It was, if you haven't heard of Rebecca Shafi, like you can look her up. She graduated from like Caltech and did her PhD at Harvard. Now she's a postdoctoral fellow at Harvard. And it was a video of her being in grade 7 or 8 or something, participating in the National Bangla BTV debate finals. And now here she is, right? If you look
Oh
at,
yeah, I can remember.
if you look
I
at
can
the,
remember.
if you look at the same final, there's another candidate. I think his name is Imran Khan or something.
Yeah. I can
He's
remember.
also, yeah, he's from that, and he became like the one of the co-founders, I think, of Snapchat, and he's like worth millions right now. So I think myself, like I was a national finalist in Bangla BTV TV debate. So I don't know where like that comes from, that's conception. I feel like if you're really good at something, that is going to grow you in ways you cannot imagine, and that's going to help you do wonderful things in life. It doesn't have to be English, it doesn't have to be Bengali. So like I don't agree with his statement, and at the same time, like in cadet college, I feel like people in sports or athletics have always been more glorified. Kind of if you look at batch politics, the students who are like the best football player or the best athlete have far more like dominance and say in how the batch is represented. The batch leader is usually the person who went into athletics for class 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
can entirely relate to that.
So like all my life when I was in cadet college, I felt that, okay, yes, I'm good at public speaking, but if I had to live cadet college all over again, maybe in a different universe, I would choose to be the best athlete over the best speaker, right? That's how I felt. Guess I was wrong. Guess being a good public speaker did bring a lot of benefits for me, right?
Exactly.
So I think it's easy to look at other people in other fields and be like, okay, that is where the value lies. But in reality, value almost lies in every field. And if you're really good at Bengali public speaking, like look at Rebecca Shafi, look at Imran Khan or Rahman. I don't know his name. Please forgive me. Uh, like, look at my example. Like, I never went, like, I did debate both in English and Bengali in Cadet College, and I never represented like Mijapur Cadet College on a national level in English debate. But I always I represented Mijapur Cadet College on a national level in Bengali debate. So if you look, which in my opinion isn't really debate. It's kind of more public speaking because you memorize the script. There is no counterattacks and whatnot. But like if you talk about my non-existent career as in debate, it has more accolades in Bengali than English. In public speaking, though, I did have like national level accolades in English. However, I feel like if you look at a lot of really famous personalities in Bangladesh right now doing what they're doing, a lot of them are extremely good Bengali public speakers, right? And they're using that in different scenarios. Like, let's talk about the father of our nation, right? He helped Bangladesh fight its independence war and really inspired millions of lives through Bengali public speaking, right? So Bengali public speaking is like an asset that a lot of people can utilize to do wonderful things, right? And the examples are, there are hundreds of examples out there. So I hope that answers this question. And this has been a long interview, so I hope we can end it very soon.
Yeah, we can end it.
We will end it soon enough. And the last question, and I don't think we will be taking any other questions. And last question is, please, it's not actually a question, it's just an overview. Please, what do you think about our organization, Youth Talents? As for example,
I think what you're doing is a wonderful initiative. I think Youth Talents has to be true to itself in terms of what they want to achieve. So right now, my understanding of the organization is that it is bringing speakers with different perspectives and kind of sharing that with its followers. But I would like to ask you to think about what final goal you have in mind. And if you have one, what and how you can achieve that goal one by one. At the end of the day, I really like people taking initiatives, and I would thank you for this initiative. At the same time, I'd also like to ask you to really think about what you can achieve in the long term and how you can start slowly moving towards that step through small initiatives.
actually the main goal and the main motto of Youth Talents is we work to inspire. We are basically creating a platform for the youth of our country and also around the world to express their talents, share their talents, and also to improve their talents. We hosted quite a number of competitions. We hosted public speaking workshops, bringing in professional public speaking instructors, and now we are conducting live interviews about people who have become an example to all other people. We will be bringing in a national player from the national cricket team, and also an Indian professor who is currently a professor at psychiatry. So basically, we are going through divergent ways to know about the experience of people like you, so that the youths of the world can be aware of what it means and what it's like to be on that particular chair. So it's basically our initiative. We are making a platform for all the development of the youths all over the world.
I hope you achieve everything you want to achieve. Yeah, best of luck.
Thank you so
Inshallah.
much, Bhai. And with no further delay, I would like to conclude the session of YT Talks third episode here. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us till the last.
Before that, we can give a big thanks to our Seeam Bhai for coming here.
The honor
Thank you
is
very
mine. The pleasure is
Thank you
mine.
very much for coming here and giving us the lot of advices and suggestions that will be, I think, helpful for us and helpful for those who are the viewers and who will view this video after on. So yeah, we can end the session now.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us till the now. With me, Siraj Zonik, and I'm Sadman Azad. Assalamu alaikum.